you both got your debuts off Steve McClaren. I mean, what? Because he's undoubtedly the most successful manager in Borough's history, and yet he seems to divide the Borough fans when they talk about him.
I find that mad. I find that when you look at it now, he promoted youth. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't know what Mac was at the start. I don't think he was keen on all of it. Like at the start, I was probably leaving. He brought Bolo in. I was at Sunderland. I was nearly signed for Mick McCarthy wanted me at Wigan. And I think it was the club who really stopped it from happening. He was, I think, probably happy for me to let me go because he brought Bolo and John Green and all these people in. So you had to earn his trust, really. It wasn't just, oh, well, Mac got his debut, Mozza did, I did. Like, we were just giving it easy. We had to earn it, and work hard and prove to him that we were better than them players. So, but in terms of his, like you say, his legacy, I find it a bit, crazy. UEFA Cup, like we Middlesbrough shouldn't really be in the UEFA Cup. Should the league when we finished 7th to get into Europe Cup finals to win it. Don't get me wrong, he has some very good players and he spent maybe a lot of money, but you still got to produce a team. It's already spending money. You still got to produce a team to win. And maybe I found that a bit. I don't know why. Was it his personality? Was it as he said something wrong, or maybe he tried to leave? Didn't he want to try?
There was a couple of stories that got out, wasn't there? That he tried to, he talked to other clubs, whether it be Newcastle United, which would have been the one that the fans really couldn't have taken, I suppose. Macca, what about yourself? How did you find Steve McClaren?
He was brilliant. Brilliant with us, and like I said, same as what Stewie said there. Really, I don't know how he can get the criticisms now he gets, and like I say, all the players that he gave the debuts to, all of us young lads. I don't think there's any young lad that can speak badly about him. What can we say? He's the one that gave us all of our chances to be a professional footballer. So we can't speak highly enough of him. And I don't know why he gets the stick he does. And like I say, Stewie said, he spent a lot of money, but so has previous managers, so has managers since he's left, and none of them produced the success that he has. And like I say, sometimes it's difficult, and fans have got to be careful sometimes what they wish for.
What they wish for, yeah.
I think probably it's he's one of those guys whose achievements have got better in the fans' eyes the longer time's gone on, and they've seen how much that period stands out in the club's history.
Well, what's the saying? You're not really missed until you're gone, isn't it?
Yeah.
So maybe it was a little bit of that. Maybe they wanted a little bit more.
You don't know what you've got till it's gone, that's for sure.
About his style of play, the fans moaning about the style of play. I've seen bits of that at the time when he was
played like that, didn't he? Pulis.
Yeah, like that was his style, and that's what brought him success, and that's what he was good at, and he stuck with it, and he got the players, signed the right players, promoted the youth team players into his style of play, and moulded us to play his way. And like I say, he's done that successfully. So how can you knock him?
When you both think back about, because you talked there a bit again about Europe and the Carling Cup and all that, but it was Europe when I often think, well, you lads that came through the youth team didn't just end up playing first team. You ended up playing the Premier League. You didn't end up just playing in the cups. You played in Europe, and there wasn't just one or two of you. There was you two, and there was Dava, and there was Jason Kennedy, and there's a long list of Adam Johnson, Andrew Taylor's, David Wheaters, Matthew Bates, all played in Europe and the Premier League. It seems incredible. But the other thing that then I often wonder about is it seems a shame that, Stewart, you were part. I think you played 400. You played more than 400 games for the Borough. Macca, you played well over 100. And I think after that, maybe David Wheater might have played 100. And it surprises me that, and it seems a bit of a shame that none of all of them local lads that came through, none of them ended up spending like most of their career with the Borough, as it were. I know you probably did in a way, Stewart, but a big bulk of it in between was elsewhere. That's surprising. It seems a shame to me that none of them ended up like just staying up. Because in the end, say Mozza ended up spending his whole career at West Brom.
Yeah. Mozza's a good example. Mozza at the time probably should never have been sold.
Never.
I think all Boro fans would agree now, but I was a player, and obviously Mozza's my best mate, and when he was going, it was a bit like...
£1 million as well?
Yeah, £1 million. But,
£1.5 million, yeah.
We got Gary O'Neill for 5, didn't we?
And Mozza took a pay cut to go to West Brom in the league below. So they were in the Championship at the time, and I couldn't believe that he was doing it, and I couldn't believe that the club were doing it as well. And it was a bit like, but obviously, it's turned out to be an unbelievable signing for West Brom. Mozza's been an unbelievable servant for them, and like I say, he's back there in a coaching role now. But he can look back over his career, and I know, speaking to him, that he was disappointed that he didn't spend longer at Middlesbrough. And I think we as players were, as young lads and as his mates. But now the fans are saying that probably Mozza. Stewie's probably a one that could have stayed there and probably should have stayed there throughout his career. Stewie was, like I said, you keep going back to being... Stewie was the icon of the academy, and the whole football club was, at the time, Stewart Downing was flying. He was England squad, blah, blah. He was unbelievable, and he should have probably been there for the rest of his career. And I'm sure Stewie would have probably...
If we'd have stayed up, if we'd have stayed in the Prem.
Yeah, that's
longer, yeah.
That's probably what it was. Obviously, at the time, Stewie's probably different to Mozza. Mozza went down a league, but Stewie, we got relegated. So then the club, obviously, financially, and it made more sense. And obviously, Stewie went on to still have an unbelievable career.
Even with the brother thing, even if we had stayed up, it'd have been... I had a conversation with Capello just before I broke my foot. We were in England squad, and I was in and around getting in the team. I knew he liked me because he taught me with Franco Baldini, but he pulled me aside and said, no disrespect, but you have to leave Middlesbrough and play higher if you can, for you to play in our team, be in the squad. And I was like, whoa, hang on a minute, I'm quite happy here, like in Middlesbrough.
Why was that, do you think?
I think because he's seen I was competing with the players for like Joe Cole, who was playing Champions League at Chelsea, winning leagues. And I don't know if he thought I was a better player than him or not, but he thought I had to be competing on that level because it wouldn't look right maybe if I was getting picked for Middlesbrough and he was on the bench playing, winning Champions Leagues, and et cetera, et cetera. And I think obviously with an injury, getting relegated didn't help. But I think it was at the time, I know Macca said, like, I was loving the time, but I was living at home, playing every week, I was enjoying it. But then I thought, I'm going to lose my England career, and I was in the squad, and it took me quite a few years to even get in around the team, really, because the team was sort of picking itself. And I thought, if I lose myself out of the squad here, I'm done, because there's going to be another 10 wingers coming through at that time. And I thought, I need to move. So it probably happened at probably a good time in a way. Like you say, I went to Villa. We were like top 6, top 8 Premier League at the time. So that was probably a big reason why I had to leave, because I was not being threatened, but he wanted me to play a higher level and to get in the squad.
When you look back on your career, Stewart, I know it's not finished yet, but when you look back on it, you think it's worked out pretty well for you? That's not far off what you would have liked. That you started your career with your hometown club, and you ended it with your hometown club. And I know everything didn't go perfectly, but you won a promotion, got back in the Premier League. That was a great way to come back.
Yeah.
And then in between, you played for Liverpool. You played for one of the top clubs in the entire country.
Yeah, like everyone says to me, do you regret coming back? No, I didn't. Probably a mad decision at the time to drop the league, but like I said, I left on relegation, and I didn't want to remember that. I think I left Middlesbrough on relegation, never played for them again. I always thought they had a chance. I mean, obviously my problem was Harley. It was just a manager. So if it was a different management, and I'd have probably stayed to the end of my career and probably finished, but it was never going to be. And it was just, what I'm trying to think of a word. It was just battling, like a losing battle, really. Every year.
What was the problem there?
I just didn't think Karanka wanted me there for some reason. I do not know why. Obviously the chairman was the one who spoke to me. Dad and had to come back. Karanka had obviously agreed, but did he think, I've been overruled sort of thing? He brought me in, and I don't know. And I thought early on he tried to have a go at me. I remember one of the games, half time. I think maybe to think, I'm going to show the other players that I can nail Premier League, because he used to say things to players like, oh, I don't know, little things like, none of you have played at Old Trafford, none of you have played at all these ground, Hybrid or whatever, Emirates. Who do you think you are? Whereas I had. So, like, I think he thought, like, how can I challenge him? And then he just started to dig away at me. I'll let it go. And then I just thought, no, I'm not having it. And then we had a fallout. And strange manager.
Did you have words or slang in there?
I let it go. He just wanted to pick fights. Like the lads were saying, I can't understand why would you want to get me to play, keep me on sides. Obviously, we were going for promotion, and he started to all of a sudden pick fights with people. Not only me, like I say, other lads were putting out fires for him, for other players he fell out. Everyone forgets that Albert Adoma didn't play for 3 months. It was us players who got him to say, Albert, come on, we need you to play. Albert ended up playing the last game of the season against Brighton instead of me. But he wouldn't play before that. He said, no, I'm not playing for him. You know, there's a lot of players he fell out with, and just had a strange managing style. I just couldn't understand why he'd want to fight with players. Surely you need them on side. And I look back now, I should have probably left after that. As soon as we got promoted, I should have left because he owes grudges. It was never going to work. And then, like I say, I think when Gary Monk came in, I think he was a bit scared of that, thinking things had gone on, because he just said from day one I could leave. There's loads of things going on. They had the same media woman working for them and all this. There was loads of nonsense. I mean, I could sit here all night and talk for days and days and write books on it, what was going on, but be all and end all, should have got promoted and left because it was never going to work.
You wouldn't have done that though, because you wanted to play back in the Premier League for the Boro and, you know, see it through.
That's why I stayed. Exactly why I stayed. But every week it was some argument, and then in the end, like I say, he walked out, we got the blame. No, he got sacked, we got the blame. I mean, there's only one man who makes decisions, that's the chairman. We can't influence. If a manager walks out, obviously players are going to lose respect for him.
Maybe if you'd been Spanish, you'd have been all right.
Yeah, no, yeah. But even them fell out with him as well, so that didn't help either, did it?
Matt, what about yourself when you look back on your career? I mean, obviously, you started at Boro and you had some really good runs with other clubs as well. When you've moved around, you went Sheffield United and Bradford and
looking back, yeah, I'd have loved to have stayed. I'd have loved to have stayed my whole career. Of course I would. I'd be telling lies if I didn't. I was disappointed when I left. Very, very disappointed. I didn't. That summer, I still thought I was going to sign a new contract. Summer I did leave, and I didn't have an agent at the time. I didn't even look to leave. I just thought I was going to sign a new contract, and like I say, it dragged on, and I thought maybe this contract's not coming. And then I got a call asking if I was going to go to Sheffield United. And
was that under Mogger?
Yeah, Tony was a manager. Yeah,
was he? Yeah.
And it wasn't clear what was going to happen. I didn't know if I was going to stay, and I was speaking to the club. I was back in training, but I didn't have a contract, and I was like, didn't actually know what was going on, because the club previously did offer me a new contract, and then the contract was sort of like taken off the table, and it was like, but I didn't think, I was still a young lad. I didn't, I was playing football, so that's all I wanted to do. I just kept on playing the games, and went away, got married that summer, and come back. And I'd never thought I was going to leave, so didn't look to leave. And when I got the call from Sheffield United, I went to speak to Tony and said, like, I've got an offer from Sheffield United. And he was like, well, we don't know the budget, blah, 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 and you've got a decision to make. And I was like, well, I'm going to have to. I've just been married. I had one kid then. I've now got 3. So I had to make a decision. I made a decision. I went to Sheffield, and like I say, I'd love to have stayed at Middlesbrough, but I don't have any regrets about anything I've done in my career, and I look back and quite happy with it.
I think you did, the fact I pointed out that you played, well over 100 games for Boro, and when there's a statistic that someone gave me the other day, and I think it's true, that no Boro player in history has gone as many months as you did between 2 games.
Yeah, it was
without leaving the club, of course. Stewart, you obviously went years without and then came back, but you were at the club all that time. I think I'm right in saying it was more than 2 years. Nearly 2 years, 19 months between.
Well, I remember the game back was the 8-1. I remember that was the only game I played that season after I broke my leg. That I know it was that one. I can't remember the previous one.
You were pretty unlucky with those injuries.
Oh, it was a nightmare. Yeah. But
you never, before then, you never really had an injury, did you?
No, I didn't have an injury, and I look
like Beatty, wasn't it? Really.
I look back, and this is something I learned towards the end of my, when I got a little bit older. I used to train like a madman. I used to train exactly how I played, thinking that that's how we had to do it to get in the first team. And only looking back towards the end, I used to think, well, if you're going to play anyway. You know what I mean? You were going to get picked. So I didn't need to go into some of the challenges. I didn't need to go into tackle with George Boateng and train and break my leg. I didn't need to do that. But you don't have that mindset as a young lad. You just want to train and train and train. You think, I've got to be the best player today to get in the first team.
I had forgotten that's how you broke your leg.
Yeah. He's the last person we tackled in, George Boateng.
Oh, yeah.
Could have tackled me, you'd have been sound.
That was like, looking back, you didn't really need to train like a madman, but you just do as a young lad.
Brilliant. And I've got to finish with one question, just to ask you about, obviously, football's just returned, and I bet you've watched the football, some of the football on TV with no crowds there. I'm just wondering, how have you enjoyed it? Because it feels like they're going to have to try and develop something to add atmosphere in somehow. I don't know what your thoughts are. Stewart, listen, you're going to be playing in front of a similar empty stadium soon. I'm guessing you're wondering what on earth it's going to feel like.
We did one the other day, like a practice match at Ewood, where obviously when the team scored, it was only against each other. When they scored, they would put like a noise effect, a bit like Germany.
Yeah.
But it just didn't feel right. I mean, the lads now, obviously Mogger will be saying to us now, it's half like you got to motivate yourself now. It's because you turn up, it's a bit like pre-season feel. It's going to be hot whereas normally you're finishing the season now. You're normally on holiday now. And he said it's a bit like for yourself. You've got to get yourself motivated, but think we've got a lot to play for. We still have 3 points off the playoffs. So you've got to have self-motivate and get yourself ready. But it is very, very strange. Like I said, still doing social distancing, but then obviously we're tackling each other 10 minutes later. It is a bit like strange, but I suppose, there's not a lot we can do. We just have to get on with it and prepare as normal, really.
Michael, what about yourself? I find it a bit weird watching it without any fans there.
I find it bizarre. But like Stewie said, it's got that pre-season feel. Even when you're watching it on the telly, it still just doesn't feel right. And you're looking and thinking, everyone, I don't care any football, they all hate pre-season games. They're so boring. There's no atmosphere. And like Stewie said, you've got to motivate yourself. Pre-season's different, whereas you're getting fit and you've got to do it. Now, lads have got to motivate themselves to actually go and play for points to get in the playoffs, to go and win the league, to get promoted, or to stay up on relegation. Lads are going to have to self-motivate themselves massively, because there's no one to get you motivated. The crowd's not going to help you. Like I say, it's a weird. The full thing is hard to get your head around. Like Stewie said about the social distancing, everyone's social distancing, but then they're going into tackles and they're pushing each other, and it just it's a bit bizarre, isn't it, for everyone?
So it sounds like, Mackie, we need Bill Bezic back for a bit of psychology for everyone, yeah?
It's all about the geese. That's what you've got to remember.
Come on, right, we're going to finish with, tell us the story about the geese.
Was it before that UEFA Cup game we had the meeting? Because Jimmy did it in the UEFA Cup.
I think it was a Grazza we played.
I think he didn't just come in at Rockcliffe, when he done that video, and he said, the geese obviously got a team, and obviously we're going on, we're all looking at each other and thinking, where's he going with this here?
Yeah, if one falls down, we've got to fly to the back and pick him up. And
Jimmy's laughing, thinking, what is he on about here? And then Jimmy goes, if I score, I'm going to do that geese celebration. And I thought, he won't do that. No way, he's too much of professional, do you know what I mean? Anyway, he scored, he'd done it. But like you said, Bill was all serious about it. Because Jimmy'd done it, say if I had done it, I'd have probably got shouted at and fined or something.
Yeah.
Because it was him, an older pro, I think they thought, we're going to have to style this one out and pretend it's a bit of crack.
Did you say you interviewed him, Dave, and he said it was a bit of crack?
Yeah, it was. He said there was a great team spirit, and
he was 100% serious. He was
serious, Dave. Yeah, tell you a story about Jimmy Floyd. That's about to tell you a story. You know, when he said when you leave him out, and McClaren said he wasn't very, not very happy about it. Anyway, I remember this day. Do you remember when Macca got his teeth done? So,
yes, I do.
So on the morning, we didn't know.
He came in one day with very shiny teeth. Yeah.
So me, Jimmy Floyd, and Ray Parler got pulled into the meeting room, and we were playing. I think it was a Gallio away, and we were getting rested. So anyway, he pulls us in, and Macca walks in the room, starts talking, but he's talking a bit funny. And Jimmy's looking at me like, what's going on with him? And next minute, he just smiles, and these teeth just hit you. And Jimmy just bursts out laughing. And Macca's like, what are you laughing at? He's like, I gaff like that. I'm not being for I can't take you serious with them teeth. I think that was the only time he was happy to be left out. And Harry cut you remember the plastic cup, and Harry put it in his mouth.
Yeah, mate, he was the best. What's H doing now, Dave?
He's looking after his roses. That's what he told us, believe it or not. He's only in his 60s, and he's funny enough, when we were talking to Mogga last week, Mogga was saying, you know what the game could do with someone like Steve Harrison back
he's
in,
unbelievable.
because he's so well respected within this game.
Yeah.
I mean,
he was going to come in Macca last year, you know.
Did he?
Again?
Last year, Tony Pulis said he wants to speak to you. And I was like, how does Pulis know him? And it was Sam Ellis. You know Sam Ellis, the number 2?
Yeah.
He had him years ago, Blackpool or wherever. And he said, Harry wants to speak to you. So I rang Harry. He's got talking to him. We had a good crack on that. And he said, I'm going to come up. But I think he was a bit embarrassed to come. But I could tell in his voice he wasn't going to come. But he said, Sam's inviting me. I'll come up for a couple of hours. And I said to the lads, if he comes in here, I'll get him to do some of the stuff he used to do. Like,
he was the
funniest man in football.
He was the best.
Funniest guy in football that I've met, yeah.
He was so good, though. Yeah, as a defensive coach for me, he was unbelievable.
Brilliant.
Brilliant coach. Yeah, he was class. I remember, we used to win games 3-0, 4-0. And he'd come in, but I'd know in the back of my head, I let someone get a header at the back stick. They didn't score for us, and we'd keep a clean sheet. He'd come in and nail me about it. Just be thinking, please, just not today. But he was perfectionist in his defending, like how he wanted people to defend. He was class for me as a young lad.
Another unsung hero.
He used to have us out in groups, didn't he? So me and Frank would do loads of work together. And if Frank had the ball, what run I'd make, and we just ended up a bit like telepathic. So I think Mac was probably the same on the other side. He was class, and but you just couldn't take him serious because he'd be so serious, but you'd be thinking he's going to crack a joke here. He was crazy, but especially when you lose a couple of games and that, and McClaren was like, "Come on, Addy, get into the lads." You come in the dressing room, but he just probably have no clothes on or something and just do something. He's just crazy. But
he was the best.
Great fella.
Guys, we could talk all night. Stewart's just slid off his chair again one last time. I'm going to say thank you to yourself, Stewart, to yourself, Tony McMahon, and also to Andrew Davies, who joined us for about 5 minutes before finally giving up the ghost on his Wi-Fi in his car. Sadly, that's all we've got enough time for this week on Teesside's Boro Backtrack, in association with Domino's Teesside, branches right across Teesside, the best place for pizza. I'm going to say thank you again to Stewart, thank you again to Tony.
Thank you.
We'll be back next week with more
Thanks,
Backtrack and more Middlesbrough memories. Thanks for joining us.
Cheers.